Apple is planning a special event for the week of March 25, 2019. That's according to John Pachowski on February 12th, writing for BuzzFeed News. Apple has settled on a date for its first big product announcement of 2019. Sources tell BuzzFeed News that the company plans to hold a special event on March 25 at the Steve Jobs Theater at its Apple Park campus. Headlining the gathering, that subscription news service that has been all over the news today. Unlikely to make an appearance, next generation AirPods or that rumored new iPad mini. Then, yesterday, Anusha Sakoy and Mark Gurman writing for Bloomberg. Apple is planning to unveil video and news subscription offerings next month, the first major new digital services from the company since 2015. The content is likely to be integrated into Apple's TV app on iPhones, iPads, and Apple TVs, which launched in 2016. So what does that all mean, and what else could we see? Welcome back, let's have some fun. I'm Rene Ritchie, and this is Vector. Apple News was announced at WWDC 2015 and launched as part of iOS 9 for the iPhone and iPad in the US and soon thereafter the UK and Australia. And then, nothing. Years and years of nothing and more nothing until January 2019 when Apple News launched in Canada. And again, that's a far sight from the 100 countries Apple Music rolled out at launch and the 110-ish it serves now. But Apple hadn't been standing still entirely over the years. There were updates in the News app in subsequent versions of iOS and a UIKit port of the app to macOS Mojave. They also hired more editors and, in the age of social network media manipulation, began aggressively curating politics, sports, entertainment, and more. And, of course, in March of 2018, Apple bought Texture, a magazine subscription app for iOS and Android, previously backed by the likes of Condé Nast, Hearst, Meredith, News Corp, Rogers Media, and Time. Many call Texture the Netflix of magazines because all the magazines for one low sub. But that label only really worked in the very early days of Netflix before they began focusing on original content. Texture creates precisely zero original content. A better analogy is the Apple Music of news. Apple Music was originally an iOS and Android subscription music service by Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre before Apple bought it along with the rest of their Beats empire. Apple then integrated it into iTunes on Mac and Windows and the Music app on iPhone and iPad and rolled it out to those aforementioned 100 countries. And yeah, even updated and kept around the Android app for the monthly price of $10 for singles and $15 for families. That could be a model for the play here, an Appleized version of Texture that gets melted into the existing News app to make News premium. The platform strategy may be a little bit different though. There's already a Marzipan app on the Mac, though it still needs a lot of Mac likening. Apple killed the Texture app for Windows 10 almost immediately though. Will there be a new one? There's a Texture app for Android, so all Apple would have to do there, I say as someone who can't code a line, is reverse integrate News into that. If not ready at launch, then at least on the roadmap. International availability, though, is still a huge question. Apple has shown they can push music out around the world. They've not shown anything nearly the same with News, and it makes international customers feel not just less appreciated, but as though they're being treated as lesser customers. So there, we'll just have to wait and see. The huger question, of course, is price. Many news pubs already charge $10 a month. That makes it tough to afford more than a couple at any time. Apple News Premium would step in as a bundling service, offering publishers a bigger potential pool of customers and customers a single overall far cheaper bundle. Texture was already charging $10 a month to do just that, albeit only for magazines. Would $10 for a single and $15 for a family sub to Apple's new News work as well? For publishers, if they could make it up on volume. Don't laugh, I almost laughed. For customers, hold that thought. John at BuzzFeed said no new iPad mini at the March event, not from what he's hearing at least, but he didn't say anything about the new 9.7-inch iPad. Feel free to fold that into the notes if you want, or to hold out hope. That new News app would make for one hell of a demo on a new iPad though. Slightly faster processor, smart keyboard, even with the same non-laminated screen along with the existing pencil support, it would be a great update. Same for Mini, and sure, hell, why not? iPod Touch as well, but again, waiting for the C. Apple's been doing video for a while now as well. Sure, it's been carpool karaoke and the tragedy that was Planet of the Apps, but Apple's been doing it and pushing it out through Apple Music. Music-themed video on a music-themed service, that makes sense, but traditional video? For the last while, Apple has also been putting together an armada of original programming, comedies, dramas, contemporary, science fiction, adaptations, animations, TV, movies. The producers, directors, stars, and source material read like a who's who and what's what of some of the biggest names and best properties in the business. So Apple will have new original content, hopefully really good new original content, but more than a few questions remain here as well. Will it be moved over to the TV app? That makes sense, but unlike Apple Music, TV isn't in very many countries at all yet. That can change, of course, if Apple thinks English language programming has a big enough audience internationally, and I think it does. Will Apple have catalog content, though? Bloomberg says users will also be able to pay to access shows from other providers, such as Starz, as is possible with Amazon's video service. But that's not really the same thing. Netflix has amazing original programming, but it started off with catalog content, quantity before quality. Amazon has both as well, so does pretty much every streaming service. Original content is great, but when people finish watching it, they want to keep watching something else. Will Apple have that something else? Apple has recently made deals with Samsung to provide iTunes for their smart TVs, and with Vizio, Sony, and LG to provide AirPlay 2 support. That's the cross-platform TV play, but what about other PCs and phones? And then again, how much will it cost? Rumor has it that some content will be free, but what about the rest of it? Will it be another $10 a month for singles? $15 a month for families? Again, hold that thought. Even though Apple's made deals with Samsung, Sony, Vizio, and LG, which covers a lot of the TV market, it doesn't cover all of it. Even then, iTunes and AirPlay 2 support is only coming to the most recent versions of those televisions. People with older TVs or other TVs can still get an Apple TV 4 or Apple TV 4K box and use that to watch Apple's new streaming video service, but that's a minute of money up front. Amazon and Google both offer cheaper TV sticks. I've been writing for years about how I'd love an Apple TV Express stick, and even made a video about it a couple months ago when the information caught up on those rumors as well. But it doesn't sound like Apple is anywhere near shipping it yet. Still, I can't think of a better stage to announce it on, if they are. $10 a month here, $10 a month there, add it up, and yeah, real money, real fast. What makes audio like Spotify and Apple Music work is that you get effectively all the music in the world for that one low price. There are a few differences in catalogs here and there, of course, but nothing mainstream critical. What makes video like Netflix and Prime not work nearly as well is that you get a relatively small, fractured, piecemeal amount of the world's video for your money. And unlike music, where all the record labels are in all the services, every Hollywood international studio seemingly wants to make its own exclusive service, sometimes by property. Yeah, looking at you, DC. Imagine if you had to pay separate subscriptions for Warner versus Sony Music, and separate subscriptions for big artists like the Beatles and, I don't know, Bon Jovi or the Gaga. But that's what the industry seemingly wants to do for video, and the creeping costs get real. Netflix plus Prime plus CBS plus Apple plus Disney plus. We may all want to cut the cable cord, but their digital land grabs are going to have all of us running and screaming back to our bundles, or yeah, to piracy. And that's just music and video. Apple's also going to be doing subscription news. For the sake of argument, straw person argument, of course, let's just say Apple Music, Apple News, Apple Video, each of them is $10 and $15 a month. That's $30 and $45 for singles and families for all of them. And that's only for the Apple stuff. Music and news, you're fine, but video, well, Prime takes care of itself if you already use Amazon, but you'd probably still want Netflix, maybe one or two of the others, and now you're up at $60, maybe $70, and you still don't have local channels, sports, video news, whatever. It's a Thanos-style moon being slowly dropped on us, and like Tony, we're eventually going to lose it. That's not all Apple's problem to solve, of course, but it's the reality Apple will be offering services in, and a huge opportunity if they can figure it out. A good place to start might be an Apple Plus subscription. Get everything Apple, including music, news, video, that rumored new gaming service, and maybe some unique differentiators like iCloud storage, AppleCare Plus protection, and who knows, maybe even the iPhone upgrade program, all bundled together for one industry-moving price. It might be a logistical nightmare for Apple to work out, especially considering all the media stakeholders, but it would also be a way to get, lock down, and reward buy-in from Apple's most engaged customers. And that might make it worth much more than the cost of any single sub, for everyone involved. And all we have to do to get it going is to make sure big media in Hollywood, Wall Street, and elsewhere checks out Brilliant. Specifically, Brilliant's courses on logic and game theory. In just 5 minutes a day, Brilliant provides you with the context and framework that you need to tackle a specific problem. Sure, it could be logic and game theory, but it could also be neural networks, machine learning, math, code, whatever. But the important thing is that you learn the concepts by applying them. And if you like the problem and want to learn more, there's a course quiz that explores the same concept in greater detail. These thought-provoking challenges will lead you from curiosity to mastery, one day at a time, in no time. And the first 200 of you will get 20% off the annual subscription to view all the problems in the archive. So what are you waiting for? Go to brilliant.org/vector and finish your day a little smarter every day. Thanks, Brilliant, and thanks to all of you for supporting the show. AirPods 2, AirPower, new iMacs and iMacs Pro, the new Mac Pro. There's a ton of other stuff we're all waiting for this year. It doesn't sound like any of it will be featured at the March event, but that doesn't mean none of it will be dropped in press releases or through briefings after and around the event or sometime this spring. As always, nothing is official until Apple sends out invitations, executives make announcements, and we all get the new hardware and software in our hands. So, your turn. What do you think we'll see at the March Apple event? And what do you really want to see? Hit like, hit subscribe, and if you really like the content, share the channel with a friend or two. And then hit up the comments below and let me know. And thank you so much for watching.